Get ready, start. It gives me special pleasure to be here at this meeting. I must say that I was very much attracted by the name of this organization when I first heard of it because it is something which at this moment of our development we are very much in need of. Enterprise is perhaps the greatest of our national needs. Enterprise in agriculture, in industry, in science, and even in matters of civic initiative in combating social evils such as communal friction and other types of frictions and tensions which arise from time to time, which threaten our unity, which threaten our progress, and sometimes threaten even our very survival. This is hardly the place to dwell on some of these tensions, although they have a very vital bearing on the progress of our industry. In today's society, in today's changing society, the new elite are the entrepreneurs and the technologists, and in the situation which exists in our country, these two have a very special responsibility to society. As you have rightly mentioned in your address, this is not only in the interest, in the patriotic interest of the welfare of larger sections of the people, but looking at the question from a very narrow practical point of view, also it is in the interests of all that one should take a stand on the issue and work for the solution of these problems, because these tendencies, whether it is the communal tendency considering one citizen big merely because of his religion to be more patriotic than all others, denying people the right to live where they want to in the country or to work where they want to, weaken the fabric of the nation. No industry can prosper and no development can take place unless there exists the proper atmosphere, the atmosphere of unity and of working together. As you know, we have made tremendous progress in industry since our independence, but we have come to a stage when industry needs a special push. Not that we want to lessen the importance of agriculture, because our very lives are dependent on it, and industry itself is dependent on agricultural progress. We cannot make history by repeating the experiences of others. We have to be willing to forge out our own path, make our own mistakes, and learn from our own mistakes, and from the mistakes go on to achievements. In India, we have taken the socialist path. Our socialism does not envisage choking of private initiative. In fact, we have stood and we do not stand now for a mixed economy in which both the public and the private sector are active. We do not want the state to do everything, because apart from this not being possible, the state is not able to undertake everything. It is also not desirable for the state to do everything. What then is our socialism? It means that the state takes upon itself the responsibility for wiping out poverty, for initiating steps which will increase production, for modernizing our economy by establishing key modern industries, for enforcing social purpose in all economic activities, for reducing disparities and setting right the history inequalities between different classes and different regions, and in particular for checking and preventing the growth of monopoly. Now, all these are the responsibility of the state, but they are also the responsibility of industry and all those who are interested in the growth of the nation. As I said just a short while ago at another meeting in this city, that whatever steps we are taking now or whatever steps we may take are all not with a view to trying to fit into a particular policy or a particular ideology. The policy and the ideology itself are made for very practical reasons and to meet the needs of the people. It is when social disparities increase that we have social tensions. It is when there is social tension that problems of law and order in stability and insecurity arise. So these problems of inequalities, of disparities, of meeting the rising expectation of the people are all too very much a part of the industrial scene, and unless we can deal with them, we cannot even advance industrially. This task, which is so enormous, cannot be accomplished unless everyone, every action section does play its part. We have the problem of educated unemployment. It has arisen partly because our industrial development and other development projects have not been able to keep pace with the rising number of educated young people. Another reason, though small, is that many of our educated young people wish to have only a particular type of job. They would like to work in particular places and cities rather than villages on the mainland, rather the on remote islands or in the hills. So we have a situation where we have areas in India which are in need of engineers, of doctors, of mechanics, and many other such specialist people. This lead to new problem of unemployment in the country. So far I am concerned, it is of no great significance to us what part of India goes into which state boundary. We must, of course, decide which course is more desirable, but in ultimate analysis, it does not make much difference from the government's point of view where one little part goes. I do not deny that it has a certain importance from the individual's or the state's point of view, but it has none from the national point of view. The government of India has approached these questions objectively and without any particular desire to impose its decisions. We have been told that we did not go through the proper procedures of consultation and decision, but I think any person who knows what has happened in the last 6, 7, or 8 months in this country will agree that the amount of consultation and discussion that we have had about this matter is without parallel. In fact, many people say that We overdid this. It would have been much simpler if we had not tried to consult hundreds of thousands of persons in this process and thereby perhaps added to the confusion. However, it is a fact that this question has roused people, but I want this house in the first place to look at this question in proper perspective, lest we should get lost in the passions of the moment. Secondly, to realize that however important these borders might be, they are, after all, administrative divisions inside the country. And thirdly, to remember that whatever we may decide today, nobody prevents us from making any variation subsequently. Nobody wants to change things every day. At the time, nothing is final in the sense that it could not be changed in the future. Our difficulty has been that we have tried too much perhaps to balance perspective, viewpoints, and find a common way and as large as measure of agreement as possible. In doing so, we have often succeeded in displeasing many people. Yet, I would beg of you to remember that in this very complicated business which has affected the whole of India, by far the greater part of India has accepted, broadly speaking, the proposals that have been made. It is true that many important questions remain to be solved. Among them, perhaps the one that has been talked about most is the question of Bombay and Maharashtra. Let us realize that even if some decision which we dislike is made, it does not make us greater lot of difference. A mistake made in restricted sphere can be corrected later, whereas a blunder cannot be corrected. I have felt that the approach to these questions has been marred by strong language, by direct or indirect reproaches, and by the running down of this group or that considerations of these problems is not helped in the slightest by any province or community being run down and by any other parts of the country considering itself more capable, more courageous, more independent, or more rationalistic. We are all here as members chosen by some constituency or other in India. Naturally, we are interested in that constituency, but I submit that we are much more. I am not here merely as member for the eastern part of Allahabad district. I consider a member of parliament to be a member for India. We are not members of some local municipality or district to consider the interests only of our area and forget the rest of India. We have to consider every question in relation to the whole country. As Prime Minister of India, I have to think in terms of India. I may make a mistake. All of us make mistakes, but our bona fides must not be called into question. I submit that when we begin to challenge one another's bona fides, then any discussions and consideration of a problem and merits become difficult. Some honorable members may say it is all very well. Your intentions may be very good, but where have you landed us with your good intentions? It is perfectly true that we have landed ourselves in a bit of mess. I admit it and I admit my responsibility for it because as Prime Minister and otherwise also I am at least partly responsible for it. I do not wish to run away from it. It sometimes happens that in trying to avoid one in regard to Bombay and Maharashtra, we varied previous decisions on several occasions. Each time we varied it, we landed in a fresh difficulty. We did it at the suggestion of some respected colleagues of ours, and then they themselves wanted something else. Ultimately, we landed ourselves in this difficulty that many attempt to change it resulted in probably a worse situation than the first one. The honorable member Sri Desmukh said he preferred a city state formula to the present state of affairs. So did we, and that was our first decision for us. I am truly delighted to be present at this historic occasion when the All India Institute of Medical Sciences is commencing its Golden Jubilee celebrations. I am also honored to participate in the 34th convocation of this great national institution and be conferred with the honorary fellowship of the institute. Golden Jubilees of institutions offer us an occasion to reflect on their accomplishments and plans for future. AIMS is undoubtedly an institution of excellence in medical education and research and healthcare and is rightly regarded as a valuable national asset. It must be our endeavor not only to sustain past performance but strive day after day to improve upon it so that the next 50 years will be still more productive, still more fruitful in the service of the people of our country. The establishment of AIMS in 1956 through an act of the Indian Parliament reflected our commitment to achieve self-reliance in key sectors of the economy and human development. It also bore testimony to the value our national leadership placed on the attainment of excellence in all such endeavors. Speaking in Parliament on the bill on AIMS, the then Union Health Minister said, "It has been one of my cherished dreams that for postgraduate study and for the maintenance of high standards of medical education in our country, we should have an institute of this nature in India which would enable our young men and women to have their postgraduate education in their own country." She went on to say, medical education must above all take into account the special needs of the country from the point of view of affording health protection to the people. This was also the vision of India's first Prime Minister, who believed that institutions like AIMS would be regarded as the temples of modern India. The time has come for us, therefore, to rededicate ourselves to the mission of these visionaries and pioneers. AIMS has indeed fulfilled its mandate of establishing high standards of excellence in undergraduate, postgraduate, doctoral, and postdoctoral education. It has designed, established, and evaluated innovative models of education and assisted in their replication across the country. It has gained a well earned reputation for providing the highest standards of clinical care in the many specialists. This is on par with the best medical centers in the world. It has been the leading contributor to published medical research in India with scientific output of high impact. I, on behalf of our nation, salute AIMS for its glorious accomplishments and express our nation's collective gratitude to the many individuals who have contributed to its growth over the past 50 years, sunning greater riches and greener pastures in the private sector or in other countries. They have worked selflessly to build AIMS to its present position of preeminence. We need to draw our inspiration from them today as we look to the future of AIMS. While we all are truly proud of our accomplishments, in medical science and technology, we must be aware that the health indicators of our country do not do us proud. While working on the frontiers of science and technology is absolutely necessary, we cannot be happy by technological solutions and fixes. We must realize that health is the result of many factors, of which medical care is just one. It is a matter of serious concern that after so many decades of our effort, our health indicators are among the worst in the world. Our infant mortality rates, our maternal mortality rates, and the incidence of easily controlled diseases and epidemics and are unfortunately among the worst in the world. This Golden Jubilee, therefore, is a time for the entire medical fraternity to reflect on the ways by which we could improve the basic health levels of our population. Kerala, with its world class health indicators, has shown that there is no necessity for high standards of living or high per capita income and high cost medical care to improve the health of our population. I request all those connected with planning of health services in our country, those who are in the government, those who are health policy planners, AIMS, and the medical fraternity with the task of exploring ways by which we can bring the health status of the rest of the country to the levels prevailing in Kerala in the next one decade. I think that's a challenge which can be met and which should be met, and I suggest that AIMS must take a leadership role in this. It is only when society at large benefits from government investment in high class medical care that we can truly say that the investments have borne fruit. In this background, we must ask whether AIMS continues to move and uphold the values of its founding generation, have growth and expansion created bureaucracies, has bureaucratism robbed individuals of initiative, has the surge of patients reduced time for research, has the pressure of qualitative growth impacted qualitative development, has the emergence of for profit corporate health care created new temptations that attract better talent away from institutions like AIMS as such. Stop.